Week 1 podcast of the Canton Akron Fall League 2022 with our guest today, Mark Amabile. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, yeah, super glad to be here.
So let's just get started. Basically, we already played Week 1, so I'm just going to go through each team, their Week 1 result, and get your thoughts on the team and how you think they'll finish. And your reaction to Week 1, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
All right. I don't know that much about the blue and purple game because I didn't really talk to anyone playing blue and purple, but we'll start with that one. So I have the blue roster pulled up. Full roster. So captain Tim Weeks. They have Bree and Christina. And they have you can read the names up, but I know Eli, Gary, and Phil really the best.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing they have a lot of threats to be cautious about for matchup purposes. They seem like a pretty well-rounded team in my opinion. I think when you look at teams that they're constructed from a league level, there are a few different, if you want to say, archetypes of teams. There's like some teams have just like a ton of athleticism threat. Some teams have a ton of experience, and some teams are really balanced. And I think this is one of those teams that's going to be really balanced. Usually, in my opinion, for teams that are really balanced, I think they have a very good chance of doing well, especially as the season goes on and they build that chemistry, just because there's going to be pretty consistent matchups for them to exploit that other teams may or may not have, depending on the matchup.
Their girls are good too. That's always an important part of mixed ultimate. And Tim is a really solid player, like really under the radar of like a high quality player too. So I think they're good. So they played against Purple Week 1, and they won 15-6 with a 9-point differential.
Wow. Okay.
And I don't know necessarily what happened, but let's go and look at the Purple roster real quick.
Yeah, I can see them being very powerful, especially early in the league, because they like a lot of their main threats are also veterans. So for another team that might be needing some time to build up that chemistry, I could see them being super intimidating early.
Okay, so here's the Purple team. We have Benji. I don't know if you know Benji, but he's a really good handler and very athletic ultimate veteran. And then we have Eric, Spirit Captain. The girls, Annika, Emily Hook, and this is one of the Klein girls as well. She's hidden. And then we have Alan, Cameron, Jervon, Matt Combs, and Zach Stahl. Do you know these people, or do you need me to give you any?
I know a lot of them. There are a few that I don't know. I think for this team here, this is a team that's gonna they're gonna win with their brains more than their legs when it comes to overall play style. So I could see for a Week 1 them having a hard time matching up against like Tim and all of them on the other team.
Matt, I'm not sure about these people, but I know Matt is a very athletic soccer player. Annika, do you know Annika?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
She's about, I think, my sister-ish, Erin. Emily's good. I think, and one thing to note too here, Mark, is they have 3 girls. I think every other team has 2 girls.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. That's all.
So that keeps the girls fresh, but also there might be more times where they have to go 2 girls without having the gen zone to dictate it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that is something, I don't know if that played a factor or not, but just to keep that in mind. yeah.
Yeah, I could see Purple Team potentially being one of those teams that plays with a non-conventional style. There was one season I played on at this point 6 seasons ago or so where we ran this four-man clock up all the time, and it was just because we happened to have the personnel to fit it really well. And I could see this roster being a team where it doesn't necessarily like they're going to run zone,
Yeah.
but they might where they have a different wrinkle of the horizontal.
I know Eric likes to run backhand force instead of foot force.
It's very confusing for a lot of like for college players and newer players. It's the opposite of what they're used to, so that's definitely a cool wrinkle. And I could also, if I were to captain this team, I would consider trying to do something fun, like run like the cycle horizontal stack where you just run it right up the middle, or like just do something interesting like that and kind of just take advantage of, I think, what your matchup's going to be, where you're going to have a lot of really like high consistency. 'Cause I know Emily, I'm not sure if it's possible to guard Emily. She's always open, at least when I was playing, and like you have a lot of talent to be able to do those kinds of things. So I would be surprised if I saw something fun out of these
You
guys.
heard it here, Purple. If you want Mark's advice, just reach out to him. He'll teach you the cycle stack so you guys get back in form. I guess I don't know. So let's just go on to the next week, and then at the end we can give like season 1 predictions. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So the next team we're gonna highlight is Black. Did you see these rosters beforehand, or is this the first time you've seen them?
I started to take a look about 3 minutes before this call, so that's
Okay.
functionally.
So we got Elliot, we got Jonathan Mast, we got Allison and Rachel Mast, and then Alex Ruff, Anthony Yoder, Brady McPherson, Mike Coates. Do you know Mike Coates?
Yeah, I've seen. I forget where I played with him. I'm pretty sure I saw him somewhere before.
He's
Maybe-
played
maybe.
a lot of leagues before. I think he's friends with Dutch.
Okay, that's probably where.
So yeah, this is one of just looking at the rosters on paper, one of the highest expectations for a roster. One of the anytime you have the Mass and the Schlanigers on a team, that's going to be a good team. So
Yeah, looking at this, the sticker price. I mean, that's a nightmare to match up on. Just with between Allison, Rachel, Elliot, John. That's gonna be a really hard team. The only thing, they might have some trouble in some matchups if they take time to build chemistry between them. I think a lot of the players that are what you would expect to be driving this team might be a little bit used to being in that role, and there might be a little bit of competition between them. Not like mean-spirited competition, but as far as just like a team chemistry and flow goes. So I think there's a risk, at least early in the season, that they might be kind of tripping up on each other a little bit, and like cutting on top of each other, or nobody making a cut when they're not used to having those kinds of issues.
could be.
Just my impression.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna have a hard time. Both of their girls are very good and have good chemistry with people who can throw it to them. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, and one thing that John Mask has always done and will always do is he makes everybody around him better, and that is his number one greatest contribution to a team. I think he's actually a huge thing that drives especially historically, has driven Canton Akron Ultimate to be so great. Is that he's such a good teacher, and you know what I mean? Like he taught me so much about Ultimate too. So especially as the season goes longer, I think this team's only going to get stronger because, you know what I mean? Even if they have some early season struggles, like I predict, they're definitely going to be able to figure them out, and everybody on the team is going to be, a lot more comfortable playing with each other as the season goes on.
Yeah. So week 1 they played against Red Team, and red team actually squeaked out the win. So red team is going to be Gabe and Kevin. And then you have Ashley Mitchell and Rachel Graber. And then you have Charles, Dan, Joe, Matt, Sammy Burke, and this hidden user, I forget who it is.
Yeah, no, that's another intimidating roster. It's been fun to see Canton Akron Ultimate as a organization, as a league, grow and develop. Since, you know what I mean, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we were all really new, and being able to see people with like every roster, like it's a terrifying roster. I think that's a really fun and a compelling thing about the league.
Yeah, so they won 16-14, and you know they're looking good. You know they have a lot of good chemistry amongst everyone. I'm not exactly sure how it went, but I think red team is going to be another really good team. And honestly, just from looking at the rosters, I thought there was going to be some favorites for the teams, but actually seeing them in person, I think all the teams are very competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously Gabe is really hard to guard. Kevin is super hard to guard. But I think one of the like engines of this team, for lack of better words, I can't think of the driving factors in this team, is actually Rachel Graber, because she doesn't like always make the most flashy plays, but she is like so consistent. And I think that is something that like a lot of teams, especially when you look at rosters and be like, I wonder why this team didn't perform the way I thought they were going to perform or whatever. It's because when you got somebody that's like always being able to make the unselfish play and like to fill gaps, to do their responsibilities, I think Rachel Graber fits that. One of the best in the league, in my opinion, at being that just anchor for a team. So I think that I obviously said it, but I could see her being a huge factor with this team going forward, because
having my mic closer. My mic was across the table.
Sorry, what?
My mic was across the table.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, Dan joined. Dan, we were just going over your team right now. But I can't hear you if you're talking, so we're just going to move on to the yellow team real quick, and then we're going to come back.
Oh yeah, sorry, my mic was muted.
So, looking at the yellow team, I underestimated the yellow team initially, and they are good. So they have Dustin and Popa as their captains. They have Julie Chen and Sydney as their women, and then Hutzel, Brady, Ian Yoder, Josh Kim. I guess Josh Kim, was he there? He was there when we played. Rob and Ross. So this is a pretty good team.
I don't know if any team. I think this team so far, of the teams I've seen so far, I think this team is going to be the hardest to match up on, because they have a lot of players that overlap dangerous, versatile roles. That it's going to be really, even if they don't like, it's hard to look at sticker price for lack of better words, for team value, because I think this team's going to build a ton of chemistry between each other, and just be able to look at every point and say, where's the matchup that they don't have the people in their roster to match up perfectly, and be able to exploit that.
So the team, we played them week 1, green team, and we were in control. It wasn't like, it was close for a long time, but then we got to like match point, and it was like 14-12, and we were having issues closing it out. And then Dustin just started poaching everything. So yeah, I think we got a couple points off of just they made a couple mistakes early. Otherwise, it would have been really close. So let's look at the green team real quick, the last team. And Dan, after this, we're just going to give like season-long predictions as well. So green team, Mark, this is let me look at the roster. So we got Peterson, Two Hand Pete. We got Ryan as our captains. We have Katie and Tia as our women. And then we have Andy, Mike Long, Mustafa, Higgy, me, and Scott.
Yeah, it's super great seeing Katie come out again. She has a crazy amount of potential from what I saw her play last winter in Macedonia.
Are you?
So
Do you know everyone on this roster? Do you know Mustafa?
maybe. I have a. I might be if I look at his face. I'm just on my phone, so I can't really see well.
He's really fast, and he's has a lot of athleticism. He had like 4 or 5 run through blocks on our game. He had like 2 scores at least.
I'd say he's like Kevin, but without the throws and game knowledge.
Yeah, he's shifty. He's shifty and quick. So yeah, I really like having him on the team. And yeah, I think it's overall a really well-rounded. It's not like we have a lot of tall people. We have a lot of athletic people. We don't necessarily have like the super high-end players, but I think we're really well-balanced too. So yeah, our game between green and yellow, like we said, went 16-14 as well. It was pretty close, but we were in command for the most part of it. Yeah, so let me go back to the rosters real quick, or to like the home page, and I'm not exactly sure how the entire season's gonna go and who plays what. But, Mark, I'll start with you. What do you think your predictions are for this league? How do you think it's going to play out?
I kind of gave the predictions as I was seeing them a little bit, and I have the memory of a goldfish when it comes to being able to call out teams without looking at them in front of me. I think the team with John Mast, I gotta say the team with John Mast is going to be in the finals, just because John Mast, regardless of his team, even if he has a bunch of rookies with him, just because John Mast makes everybody around him better. I think I would be remiss if I did not, throw my hat in there. I think Popa and Sydney, their team is going to has the potential to have a ton of pressure late season. I think because they're going to be really hard to match up on, and I think, off the top of my head, I think those are my 2 teams to watch out for come bracket time.
What do you think, Dan?
So I think John's team is I think Mark's right in that, like, it's John Mass, he's got Rachel too. They're quite the duo. And then they have a lot of rookies, but also their rookies are people who are like generally athletic. Like, because we played them for the first game of the season, and like there's a lot of big dudes on that team, like tall and athletic, and it's like they've never played Ultimate before. And so like I think John's a great teacher, and he'll be able to really help people learn and develop. So I think for sure they're a firm contender.
What are your thoughts? Do you think what do you think happened with Purple? Did you hear anything?
The blue team kind of blew them out, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know who's on Purple. I know a couple people on blue, but
yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. It's kind of hard to make predictions when you haven't even played all the teams.
yeah.
I think it's hard to not include Jonathan Mast as an auto include in the finals. However, they did get beat by Red in the first week, so I think it's doable. I think green, blue, and yellow are going to be all competitive. I wouldn't be surprised if we traded games with each other through the season, like green beats yellow, yellow beats blue, blue beats green type thing. But yeah, I would say red and black probably might be the top two seeded teams. Purple might be the bottom, and blue, green, and yellow would be fighting for third seed. But I guess we'll have to see how it goes. I mean,
Who won the game between green and yellow?
Green.
Okay.
We were in control for most of the game, but it was close. Meaning, like, we had a 2-point lead for the most part.
Knowing like the core of green team being like Scott, Mike, you, and, Peterson,
Higgy.
So, Higgy wasn't there, but
True.
I'd say like Scott and Mike kind of have like this tendency to get a little lazy when they're up. They're not really kind of like put my boot on your neck kind of people, you know.
Scott and Mike did really well. I think it was just we were trying to we just started trying to boost it too much, and Dustin tried to not get destroyed, and Dustin started poaching and.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's lazy, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's the easiest way for us to get a point? Just throw a bomb and someone catch it, you know, as opposed to working it gently up the field.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing to note for us is Katie, and she could potentially have issues with her knee.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah,
I think she's getting an X-ray relatively soon.
Yeah. But we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's my thoughts for after week 1. We play purple next. Green plays purple next, so I'll have to next week figure out what happens there. Who do you play next week, Dan?
I think I play blue team.
Okay, so that will be interesting to see how that goes.
All right, so sorry my internet's a little tweaky. I'm in my cell phone. So my prediction for purple, I think with purple team, they're gonna have some struggles throughout the season as they try to discover themselves as a team. But this team reminds me of the team medium rare that I was on a while ago, where we won one game throughout the entirety of the regular season, but then we just kind of all figured it out at one point and then ended up getting to the finals. So I think that purple, even if they don't look intimidating during the regular season, if they commit to like staying with it and catch them throw and like all those fundamental principles, I could see them being a sleeper threat in the playoff bracket.
Nice. Yeah, I really really look forward to seeing their development, and I get to play them next week, so we'll see how it goes firsthand.